Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shae Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to Real Moms, where resilient entrepreneurs create abundant lives for themselves and their families. Before we jump into today's conversation, I love your support. If you're inspired by what you hear today, hit subscribe, leave us that 5-star review, and share this episode with another mom who's building her business and her dreams. Your reviews and shares help spread the message that moms can truly have both success in business and abundance at home. So let's dive in. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "In all aspects of life, the competition is highest for average goals," and that is by Dan Sullivan. So today's guest is someone who truly embodies what this show is all about: building wealth, creating freedom, and staying grounded in what truly matters most, your family. Gokce Donat is the founder, also known as Gucci or G, is the founder of Million L, a platform dedicated to spreading financial literacy and empowering women to take control of their money, mindset, and future. She holds a builder's license, a real estate license, a master's in finance, and undergraduate degrees in both chemistry and chemical engineering. With over the past 23 years, she's managed her own investment portfolio, started and sold a home healthcare business, and ran a successful construction company for over a decade, building multi-million-dollar custom homes from the ground up. She's also helped her husband grow his business and continues to use all of that experience to help other women understand money and investing without the intimidation or complexity. So welcome to the Real Moms Podcast. If you want to let everybody know how to truly pronounce your name, please go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you, Shae, for trying. It's a difficult name. I love your spirit. It's pronounced Gokce, but Gucci, like exactly what you said. Gucci and G are perfect. And I'm just super happy to be here. And I love your energy.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, it sounds like you have had a lot of success in your life. And as we had talked about previously, with that success does not always come easy. So talk to us about your journey and some of the challenges that you've faced over the years.
My journey really starts, and my journey, if you listen to podcasts and have heard this before, I'm very sorry, but it is important. So my journey first started off over 2 decades ago when I was pregnant with our first son. And my husband and I had a corporate job. He owned his own practice, and we thought maybe we should talk to someone about managing our money. And we had a meeting at our house with a guy from a big brokerage that it's a world-known brand, and I don't want to mention the name, but he was in our house and we were just talking about different investments. But backstory is, from a very early age, because of my dad, I had interest and exposure to the stock market. I wasn't intimidated by it at all. Like, I was reading about investing when I was 16, 17, 18. And so anyway, fast forward, I'm like 25, and he's at our house and talking to us about where we're going to invest our money and what we're going to do. And I asked him a question, and I'm naturally an inquisitive person. And his response to my question, which I don't remember what the question was, but his response, I'll never forget, was, "Let's let the guys at Harvard worry about that." Yeah. And
Okay.
I don't know why. I was born a confident person. I can't say why. I just have always believed in myself. And at that moment in time, I'm like, all right, we're not using you.
Yeah,
You're
bye.
horrible. And from that point on, I just did everything. Like I ran our books, I did all of our investments. I think that if we hadn't had such a negative experience in the beginning, I in retrospect, I wish we would have consulted with a planner because people look at high earners. We've both always been high earners. And what people don't understand is it doesn't matter how much money you make if you
Yeah.
don't keep track of your expenses. And
Yes.
we've always lived well below our means. But if we had a planner involved and had tracked how much money we were spending and just set aside 10% of that,
Yeah.
25 years later, that would be a significant amount of money,
Yeah.
if we invested at 7, 8, 9% return.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's how I got started. I was insulted and I'm like, screw you.
Yep. Yep. Yes. Whereas so many people would take that insult and be like, oh, okay. They might back down a little bit. I use it as fuel to the fire. If you think that I can't do it or that I'm like crazy, perfect. Sounds
Same.
great. Love it. Bring it on.
Same. I just don't think because a financial advisor is like you're essentially self-employed, right? Your value is your clients and your assets
Mhm.
under management. And so a good salesperson knows never ever to insult anyone, especially not the wife. What are you
Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah. If we want to tag team and take down my husband together, yes, but
Like,
not
what are you
me.
thinking? Yeah, yeah. So that's how I got into it. But again, I think what's very important in that story is that I was not intimidated by
Mhm.
investing or the stock market, which even in 2025, with all of the information that we have, especially women, I think are very intimidated.
I don't know, full transparency, I don't know enough about the stock market. I've heard great things but I've also heard a lot of scares. So I've never dug. We have investments, we have our financial advisor and stuff like that, and we have investments in there, but I don't know enough about it to say, yep, I want to invest in this and this. Now, I am an aggressive person. I am investing aggressively and not conservatively because I'm still young enough to where, okay, I'd rather like the greater the risk, the greater reward kind of thing. I also have invested in data centers, which is an insane amount of return. It's just not a guaranteed return. It again, the greater the risk, the greater reward. But
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no,
Finish
no,
what
you're
you're
good.
saying.
Oh,
No,
I was
no.
just saying, and so it's a 48% return, but there's no guarantee. Like the average is between 5 and 9 years over the next how the next 5 to 9 years, but it could be 3 months from now and that payment stops. So it's crazy.
So what I want to say is I think if you have financial advisor is not it's a very generic term. And depending on what you're being sold, they do have to be licensed. But
Yes.
I would at very least know what you're paying this person and
Mhm.
what you're invested in. You absolutely have to
Yes.
know that.
Yeah. So
That's your
we
homework.
do. I know we do. We have a vault, and we've discussed all of that. We went through what they get paid annually based off of our returns and stuff like that, and then
And
every
that compounds over
it
time.
compounds.
And the advantage that younger people have today, because I'm 50, but statistically, I'm going to live a few decades more if I'm lucky. My runway is not as long as yours. In 2025, you don't have to be a stock picker.
Right.
And years ago, I would always tell people just buy SPY, don't be a stock picker. And that's really what you have to do. Just consistently contribute to it and set it and
What's
forget it.
SPY?
It is an ETF. It's an exchange trade fund that has very low expenses associated with it that anyone can buy like a stock. That's the beauty of an ETF. It's bought and sold like a stock versus being in like an actively managed mutual fund, which traditionally has very high fees, is less liquid, is not traded like a stock. It really depends on the type of mutual fund, but just know what you're invested in
Right.
and what it's costing you.
Yeah. So I guess somebody who's
There are a
looking
lot of
to
low
get
cost solutions in 2025.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's interesting because yeah, we go back and forth because my husband and I we're not real. versed in the stock market area. So you want to trust your financial advisor or the person who refers you over to them. But what would you recommend somebody who is wanting to get started in stock market or to start building their wealth?
Let me back up for 1 second. I don't want to, because there is definitely value add with using a financial advisor. But again, you have to learn what you're
Mm-hmm.
paying, what you're invested in. And I think the most significant like value add with using an advisor is they keep you level headed when you think the world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
So if you were managing your portfolio yourself, and let's say like during COVID, how the market tanked, and there have been multiple
Mm-hmm.
times, right? They'll a good one will make sure you stay vested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Or double down.
Or double
Mm-hmm.
exactly, or double down. Depending on your personality and your how you are emotionally,
Yep.
going with an advisor might be a better route, but always know what you're invested in and
Mm-hmm.
always know what it's costing you. But if you do want to go it alone, I would highly recommend listening to the Million L podcast. That's million and then ELLE.
Yes.
We do have interviews, but it's 5-minute bites of
Yes.
my favorite episode is, and I love podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm sure you listen to podcasts
Yeah.
too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite episode is Stop Pretending You Understand Crypto, like 5 minutes to understand it or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's just like bite-sized chunks of knowledge on the
Yeah.
go. So get educated.
Yeah.
There are great books out there. I think most younger people these days don't like to read. There's a lot of so many different personalities on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. Even if you don't want to devote the time, because there's really, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with stock market investing, but there's two different schools of thought primarily. You're either a value investor like Warren Buffett or
Yep.
you're a momentum investor. And I think a lot of young people, they're really across asset classes, including real estate. Everything is just at such a high valuation right now. Value, being a value investor these days is tough. But I would just say educate yourself. But there are passive ways to do it, like buying an ETF.
Interesting. Yeah, because my another gentleman that I was talking to, he said we should put it into an ETF because there's a lot lower fees, lower costs associated. And I just don't understand all of that. Aside from your podcast,
You
where
need to
else do
listen to
you
my podcast.
I need to. I'm gonna start doing that because I like the short little snippets because especially
Yes.
when you're on the go and then if anybody's like me, you start listening to something, then you forget where you're at and you try to go back to it and you don't remember. It's a whole thing. So I like
Yes.
those little snippets like even in between appointments, let me just jump on, listen to 5-10 minutes. And then, so I'll definitely subscribe to your podcast and start listening to
So
that.
the ones that are just me are like 5 to 8 minutes.
Uh-huh.
My interviews typically are not longer than 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah. And
you'll like it, I promise.
you talk about all of it in all the interviews.
The interviews have been the way that I select who I interview, and you should come on my podcast too, by the way. The way that I select who I interview is I find someone, I come across someone whose energy that I like.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter what they do. They're typically entrepreneurs,
Yep.
but I just reach out to them and we have a conversation about I do try to steer the conversation towards my listener.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I find people. They're typically entrepreneurs and
Right.
they're women.
Right.
They're women.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. There's just something about women entrepreneurs. I remember growing up, I was like connected more with men, but the more I get into, yeah, but the more, because
Yes.
it was just easier. But the more I
Yes.
get into business and the more I meet other like-minded women, I realize that women are so much more badass. No offense to the guys out there. We love you all. But there's so many badass women out there that you start connecting with them and you're like, okay, this feels right. This is like my tribe. Why was I missing it before? Because it wasn't the energy was just a little bit different. I've always gotten along better with men in the past. Obviously, not as much now because when you're married, probably not the best thing to be making guy friends and being best friends with guy friends. But yeah, you just find your tribe of women and you start connecting with those individuals, and it just makes a lot more sense. But
It does.
so
And I
tell me your journey into entrepreneurship because you said you were that you used to be in the, oh my Lanta.
I love that
Oh man.
expression. Oh my Lanta. I love it.
Oh, yeah, you used to be. Oh my gosh, what am I trying to
I've been a lot
say?
of things. I've been a
Yeah.
lot of things. So tell me your question. What's the question?
How did you get into entrepreneur? Because what were you doing previously?
So I started off working in corporate America.
There you go. Corporate
Yes,
world. Holy
corporate
moly,
world.
that phew, what are
Corporate
those
world,
days?
my dream job, I was promoted very quickly because most people, no offense, this is so true. Most people in corporate America don't work hard. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I don't
Yeah.
know how these corporations make a profit. And I worked hard and I love to learn
Mhm.
and I was
Mhm.
really young and I wanted to make a difference and I was very grateful for that job. I loved everyone I worked with, but then after I had and I my counterparts were Japanese. So this was an engineering role. My counterparts were Japanese who I loved. I still keep in touch with one of them and it's been like over 25 years. But after I had but I worked a lot. I worked a lot and I loved it. It was not a chore to me, even though I wasn't even
Right.
getting paid for overtime. I
Yeah.
loved it. But I had my first son and my mom, who was a working mom, retired. I'm an only child. She retired to take care of him. So I would go pick him up. She would have, and she cooks. She's always cooked from scratch, my mother, great role model. And
Yeah.
I would pick up our dinner and my son, can you imagine? And I would go
Wow.
home. But the pressure of I would leave on time or maybe just work an hour over. And I don't know if you know anything about Japanese work culture, but work comes before anything.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like
I
before
don't know, but
family,
that, yeah.
like it trumps everything. And so like my counterpart that I loved, he'd look at his watch and he'd go, "Where are you going?" With an accent, not like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd say, "I have a child now. I want to go hang with him. I love you guys, but I'm done for the day." And that got to me. It really got to me. It bothered me that not their perception of me, but I think it bothered me that I couldn't give it like 200% like I had in the beginning. Not that
Mhm.
my bosses still loved me and obviously I was still doing great at work, but that kind of pressure bothered me. I decided to take a little break. I actually continued to do contract work for them from home, which I
Right.
hated. I hated working from home. Yeah, but and in the meantime, like I've always managed art portfolio. So I'm
Mhm.
reading about stuff, I'm doing research. It really wasn't super active at that
Mhm.
point, not gotten
Mhm.
into construction yet. But yeah, that was my journey. My child was the catalyst for
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. I think it usually is. I'm actually talking to a really good friend of mine, and she's been in the medical world forever. And she's just getting to that point where I'm working. So she loves what she does. She loves who she works with, but she's just getting to the point where I'm working so much. I'm not getting paid for all this additional work because they're having some people leave and getting other people to come in, and the flexibility is not there. And she's just, I'm done. I'm just done because she has two
Did she just
kids
have a
and
kid? Yeah.
no, she has two older kids ish,
Okay.
but she's just, it's draining. It really is. And she's ready to do her own thing. And I think that is really a driver. You don't want people to make you feel guilty for wanting to spend time with your family. And that's a lot of where this podcast comes in because a lot of women have this mom guilt of, oh, I'm so focused on work or whether it's you're growing your own business or whatever it is. But so many women have that mom guilt. Now, this probably sounds pretty bad. I don't know if I've ever really had the mom guilt just because I know the importance of having that separation from my kids and me. Because if I was with my kids all the time, or I worked from home and they were home, or I was a stay at home mom, I would be a terrible mom. And I know
Right.
that I would be a
Yeah.
terrible mom.
Yeah.
And I feel like I mean, I've had some times of mom guilt, but I've always made sure that I'm at my kids' activities. I've always coached them in their sports activities. And as they're getting a little bit older, I'm coaching my son and he's 9 and I'm standing there with all these boys and 3 men coaches and I'm like maybe it's time I step away from coaching my son. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally thought that was too nice to go. I'm like maybe it's time I just step down from that because it was odd.
I want to applaud you on something that I'm older than you. I think that the fact that you realize that is so important
Mhm.
because later on in life, if your kids have any issues, you
Mhm.
at least know you gave it 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
And
saying?
yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't come with there I do need to get better about and I've been working on it for a long time. I need to get better like when I'm home, I need to be home. My kids have made some comments like, "Oh,
Hard.
mom,
It's
you know,
hard. Yeah.
it's very hard when
Yeah.
you are an entrepreneur cuz when I'm home, sometimes my mind is not there."
Especially when you're in real
Struggle.
estate, we're
Mhm.
constantly on our phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what brought you into real estate? You obviously you've had a very successful life from what I would say would be very successful. So what took you from these construction businesses
Yeah.
to real estate?
So it was like 2006, 2007, and we decided to build a new house.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was not in real estate. As an investor, I've always been a passive real estate investor just through the stock market,
Yep.
but I didn't have a building license. I didn't have a real estate license. It wasn't even on the horizon. We finally found the best builder on planet Earth to build our house. And I'm a very decisive person, and he found me very easy to work with. And when the world was falling apart in 2008, he said, there are all these amazing properties, and we had the capital. He was like, there are all these amazing properties. Let's buy a few. And that's how it started. I partnered up with our builder, and it was maybe 5 years after that I ended up getting my building license. But yeah, yeah. So what we would do, so where we were building, it's probably the top neighborhood that everyone wants to live in Michigan. And all of the homes, they're older homes. So you have to do a full excavation. We weren't
Right.
remodeling, we were building from the ground up.
Oh,
And when we were partners, he was the builder. So he did the building process part and I did everything else. I'm not good at interior design, but I can pick
okay.
stuff. I can pick
Hmm.
stuff. And later I wanted my own name on the
Hmm.
finished product. And yeah, the building license exam was not easy, but I ended up getting it. And yeah, we're still best friends though.
Yeah.
We have a great
Yeah.
relationship and he's an amazing person. So that's how I got
Right.
into it.
Yeah. Interesting. So then how long have you had your real estate license?
So I think I got my real estate license and the building license around the same time
Oh,
because
okay.
he also had a real estate license.
Yep.
He was technically a broker. And we always use that as leverage. And I wanted to do the same thing. I would never list my own properties just because it's confusing for the
Mhm.
buyer. But yeah, it definitely helped me in trimming my costs. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Gave me
awesome.
good leverage. Yep.
Yeah. So where do you see like your business going from here? Actually, I'm going to take a step back a little bit because I want to dig into like your personal side of things if you want to open up about it. But
Absolutely.
through these changes, obviously, was there ever a time, or tell me a little bit about like when maybe you and your husband had struggles? Because you can't, nobody can go through an entire world, an entire life having some sort of struggles with their significant other. And then like the challenges, if even raising kids when they're in different activities and you have all these things going on. Explain to me how that looks, how you guys were able to work through it, and what does that look like?
Yeah. So I would say throughout our marriage, we're talking marriage, not
Mhm.
business, we had really two main struggles. The first struggle was when we had our first child who didn't sleep for 3 years. I'm not kidding. Like we were so freaking sleep deprived. And I remember we were like arguing with each other. And I had this light bulb moment thanks to years of reading Tony Robbins books and watching Oprah. I was like, we're on the same team, dude. Like, why
Yeah.
are we arguing?
Right.
We both want the same thing. We both want more rest. We
Mhm.
both want this kid to learn how to freaking sleep on his own.
Yeah.
And then we came up with a plan, but that was like a major problem for us
Yeah.
early on. And I think a lot of new moms can relate to that. It's
Mhm.
such a drastic change. And so that was one challenge. And then I would say the other most significant challenge actually in our marriage was adding a new member to our family through marriage. I don't want to give too many details, and I don't think she'll ever hear this, but when there's a new sister-in-law or brother-in-law,
Oh,
oh man, that created major problems because
really?
I'm the kind of person that faces issues head on. If someone's not treating me properly or if something's wrong, I like to talk about it
Yeah. Yeah.
and finish it.
Right.
My
Get it out
husband's
there.
family is not like that. They like to sweep it under the rug. Exactly. They like to sweep it under the rug,
Mhm.
and that made the problem worse.
Mhm.
It took and like from the beginning, I was like, people, why don't you see what I'm seeing? And that was the fight. The fight was like, why don't we have the same perspective on this? And I just finally, there's a book I would highly recommend. I don't know if you've read it. It's been out forever. It's called The Four Agreements. Have you,
Mm. I've
girl,
never heard of it.
girl,
Really?
you need to get this book.
I'm gonna go look it up.
It is so good. Every single person on this planet needs to read it like once a
The
year.
four agreements?
You
Oh,
will
okay.
email
Okay.
me and thank me.
Oh, I have heard of this.
Oh, it's so
Now that I
good.
see the
And you
image.
can, if you don't have time to read the book, you can read a summary, although I think the book's always better.
Right. And
But
might need
so I
audio
read the
version.
4 agreements. I read the 4 agreements. It helped me tremendously, and one of the agreements is acceptance, and I accepted the situation. I accepted the fact that they don't see what I'm seeing. I accepted the fact that she was the way that it was she was. I tried not to take things personally, and
Mhm.
that's how we moved past it. I don't know, is that too am I speaking too broad? Like,
No. So how did that affect? So how did you and your husband work through that? And it sounds to me that you've
it
been
took a long
more
time.
right.
It
And it
it
sounds to
took
me that you're
years.
like a big communicator.
I'm a
Or
big
did you
communicator, and I'm like, I tell it like it is.
and honestly, I think that's the best medicine. I think what happens with relationships is when they stop communicating and they stop telling them like it is. Hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what's going on. We need to do this or we need to do something different. It's when things get swept under the rug and they keep sweeping it under the rug and it keeps sweeping under the rug or you
You know,
try to avoid it.
the problem with my husband and I wasn't that we were avoiding the issue. I would always like still, if there was an incident that happened, and we would still talk about it. The problem was it took 2 decades, I'm not joking, to get on the same page. Like,
Oh.
it took a long time for them to realize what I was saying in the beginning,
Yeah,
and I had to find a way to cope with it.
right.
And I did. And so I didn't want it to infect our relationship any
Mhm.
further
Mhm.
because it does affect your kids then, right? And it
Yeah.
does. So yeah, the 4 agreements, man, it was such a it's therapy in a book. It really tremendously helped me.
I'll have to I
You're
now
gonna
that I'm
love it.
looking
It's
at it.
applicable to life. It's
Right.
applicable to so many things in life.
Mhm.
So one of the agreements is acceptance. Another agreement I'm pretty sure is not to take stuff personally,
Yeah.
which a lot of women do. And
Yes.
I think that's a hard one. I
It
think
is.
not taking stuff personally, especially depending
Mhm.
on who's telling you.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to give them away, but if you
Yeah.
haven't read it, seriously, it's a great use of your time.
Yeah. And I like how you bring up don't take things personal because honestly, I bring that up. I had two students yesterday shadowing me. And that was one of the things I said the hardest
Nice.
thing when you're in the entrepreneurship world is not taking things personally. You will have family members and friends who will use somebody else in real estate and it's going to hurt. But you have to realize this is typically going to be one of most people's largest purchases they'll ever make in their entire life. And they want to use somebody who they're going to feel like they can trust. And a lot of it does come down to finances. Friends and families maybe don't want you to know their finances. So
Exactly.
it's not a personal jab against you personally, it is business. And even if it is personal, pretend like it's business and you just move on. Because if you affect, if you go to somebody and you're upset with them because they didn't use you or they're trying to sell for sale by owner or something like that, they're never going to want to come around to use you again. They're never going to want to come back and say, prime example, I had a friend of mine who had asked me a bunch of questions when it came to listing her house. She ended up listing it for sale by owner. I reached out to her and said, hey, just want to let you know if you need anything,
We
reach
just want
out
to
to
let you
me.
know it's going to have to be in the MLS someday.
Yeah, pretty much. And I
Yeah.
said, hey, if you have any questions, like she goes, you have no idea how much relief that gave me. She says, I was so scared to post. She said, I didn't even want
Aw.
to tell you. And then after a month, she reached out. She's like, okay, we need to put it on the market. Let's get it listed. But if I would have went after her and interrogated her or was upset with her, she wouldn't have come back to me.
Yeah.
Never in a million years. And
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
cannot take things personal. You got to move on. Otherwise, it will hurt the relationship that you have with that family member or that friend. It really will.
You're a very intelligent young lady.
Through
That's very true.
trial and error, don't get me wrong, through
Well, no,
trial and
that's so true. That is so true. Yeah.
yes. How has it been like with your kids? Have they seen any struggles or like through your endeavors and changes and challenges? Because how old are
With
they?
23 and 21.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So are you talking with my businesses, with marriage? What are you talking about?
Like once in a while, like my husband and I will see a little bit of it. Like when my husband made a change, when I made a change, and then I made another change. Obviously, especially when you're making changes, generally in business, you're going to be gone more. You're working more. Did you ever feel that with your kids and feeling like a distance? Did they get upset with you? How did that look for you?
Especially early on, I had a couple different nannies, but As our schedules are pretty flexible, my
Mhm.
busiest time of day is first thing in the morning,
Mhm.
7 a.m. Like the phone won't
Mhm.
stop ringing from 7 because that's when guys get to the site to
Yeah.
about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So and aside from the nannies, we've been so blessed with having our parents as well.
Mm.
I guess you would have to ask them, but if I had to guess, I would say no. I don't think going back to what you were saying earlier about
Yeah.
being on our phones, they've definitely commented about, geez, you're always on your phone. But during dinner is a sacred time. Nobody's on their
Yep.
phone, especially
Yep.
not me. We
Yeah.
tried hard to enforce it with them. And I'm lucky in that, especially with my older son, we missed the whole phone thing. My
Yeah.
younger son was a bit more entrenched in it, but I don't think it put a stress on on my relationship with the kids. I think
Good.
what my biggest criticism of myself would be like what you said, just not being present in the moment.
Yeah.
If I could go back, like I would try to be a little more present
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, because you have the flexibility so you can be there physically, but sometimes we're not always there mentally. And I
Right.
think that's also why I choose to volunteer and coach my kids, because then it forces me to put my phone down for that hour and a half and I am engaged with my kids like directly. And because otherwise, if I'm just there or we're just at home, it's easy to go grab that phone and be on it,
For
or to
sure.
think of what you have going on in business and stuff like that. And I do think that with these changes and challenges, your kids admire you. They admire and they look up to everything that you're doing, that you're willing to take on the risk, that you believe in yourself, and it instills that confidence in them. Like my oldest daughter has
How old is she? How old is she?
not 10,
Okay.
so she's 10.
Okay.
She
Okay.
is the most confident girl in the entire world. When this sounds terrible as a mom, when she probably shouldn't be.
That's awesome. Oh
That
my
sounds
God.
terrible.
That
I would
is,
never tell her
if I
that. I
had to
would
pick one
never.
skill,
Yes.
if you are a confident person,
Oh my gosh,
it's
she is
game
so
over.
confident. Like
Good for
sports,
her.
and she's terrible at sports, like horrible, but she has
But she
got the
thinks she's the
confidence.
best.
She has
That's
got the confidence
awesome.
of somebody who is a all-star athlete. It is the
Wonderful.
cutest thing in the entire world. I'm like, you
Sure.
got it, girl. You
You
go
go,
for
girl.
it. She's like, Mom, did you see I almost made that basket? I'm like, yes,
Oh, that's
you're 10.
awesome. That's
But
wonderful.
it's so cute. Like it is the cutest thing in the entire world because
And I
she has
bet,
that
I was going to
confidence.
say, I bet if someone said to her, "You're not that great," she would say, "You're not that great."
Yeah, you didn't see that?
Yeah,
I
but
dribbled the
she's
ball.
bulletproof.
Yeah. Now my youngest, that's gonna be a whole nother level. Her confidence is even more, but
That's great, Shae. That's awesome.
she's also gonna have the athleticism to back it up, so it'll
Yeah,
make a little bit more sense. Whereas my oldest, I love her dearly. She's more of an arty, craftsy, loves to read, but she has got the confidence.
good for
It is
her.
the funniest thing in the
That's
entire world. It's super
wonderful.
cute. It really
That's really
is. It really
wonderful.
is. Yes. I want to thank you. I'm gonna call you G.
Call me
G.
G.
I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you having me on. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, we'll have to connect more after this, but I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Honestly, like your story from building the homes to building financial freedom is such an inspiring reminder that simplicity, focus, and family first values can lead to incredible success. So, to our listeners, remember this, that you are resilient, you are capable, and you are made for an abundant life. You've got this, and keep on going. Thank you so much, G.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please, please, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shae J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.